UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Welcome, everyone, to General Quarters, your Warriors and Warship podcast. My name is Ken Tripp. I'm your host tonight, and joining me is our co-host, Travis Christman. Travis, how are you tonight?
Doing great, Ken. How about yourself?
Doing well. Really looking forward to this interview. This is unique. So in our last week's show, we got the privilege of having our first Marine on the show. But now we're going with our first OUS soldier. Someone who's been serving in the Australian Army for over 20 years, Nathan MacKenzie. Nathan, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Travis. Thank you very much for having me.
It's a real honor, and taking time out of your day to talk to us really means a lot. And I think it'll be fascinating for folks, to hear your story and maybe some of the similarities and maybe some of the differences between the services between the two countries.
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking forward to hearing from the both of you and seeing where it all pans out.
Yeah. Well, buckle up. Here we go.
Yes.
Yeah. So Travis, where in Australia are you from, first of all?
So for myself, I'm from Brisbane in Queensland, Australia. I'm currently posted here. I've been here for about the last 5 years. So I joined the Army at the age of 17. The reason why I joined the Army, when I was going through high school, my brother was in the Army and my schooling wasn't up to where I wanted it to be. And Army was probably my first choice at that stage. And then I never anticipated to be in as long as I have been.
I see. Okay. And 17, I was the same age when I joined the Navy. And I'm long since retired, so I guess I'm a little older than you are.
I can't relate with you guys. It was a little bit later in life for me. So
I gotcha. So Nathan, why the Army?
I think when I saw my brother, I went down to his march out parade. Ours is at Kapooka near Wagga Wagga down in New South Wales. I went and saw that, and that really interested me. When they did the march out, it really intrigued me. The fact I had no idea what they were talking about, but it just looked so disciplined, so formal, and that intrigued me a lot. And then 4 years later, I had to like fitness side of things. I had to get into the fitness shape. I had to lose about 15 kilos before I joined the Army. And then, as a young kid going through basic training, the first week was really hard for me. But after that, I really enjoyed it. And everything just was very fast paced after that. When I first did my IET, so that's our initial employment training. So I am a cargo specialist by trade in the Royal Australian Corps of Transport here in Australia. So basically I'm what would be classified as a stevedore, so a crane and forklift operator. So I'm fully equipped to operate cranes up to 60 ton, and I've operated forklifts and heavy container lifters up to about 40 to 50 tons. So when I went to Townsville for my first training, completed all my basic training. Then obviously East Timor started here in Australia. So we deployed to East Timor. Instead of me, I went to Bougainville.
Okay.
First off, for a deployment. I thought I was left out. I was a bit worried that I did something wrong. But in the end, as I'll talk to soon, it actually worked out better for me than some of my colleagues.
Oh, is that right? Well, Bougainville. I'm a big history World War II buff, so I know that that's quite a spot from back in the day and all of that. But okay, so just so I have some calibration, it's interesting. So you enlist in the Army, and do they have similar rank structures? So when you came out, is it a private? What is it when you at the earlier stages there?
Yep. So as soon as you finish your basic training as a recruit, as soon as you finish your initial employment training, I had to do some transport driving as well. So just the basic vehicles for us. So, yep, it's straight into a private soldier. Different jobs have different names. So you could be a trooper or a sapper, but still basic rank of a private here. And after you've done about 12 months in your trade or your particular role, you'll go up to what's called a private proficient. But there's no rank slide. It's still just basically just a rank slide with just Australia written on it. But yeah, you're just classified as a private soldier. Yes.
Yeah, I just was curious how that worked. Okay, so then you were in Brisbane. I'm
Yep.
sorry. Is it what I said? Brisbane. That's not right. Bougainville. You're in Bougainville. So, all right. So you're hinting at it. So what was why were you better off there or whatnot?
So it was good for me just being a young, like I only just recently turned 18. So Bougainville was more of a relaxed environment. So no weapons. It was just a peace mission, so to speak. So I was there deployed for 4 months, and it was mainly just trade orientated. So I got to learn, meet a lot of new people. There was people from the Air Force and the Navy working there as well. Not long after I returned to Australia, I ended up doing 2 stints back to back to East Timor. Whereas, some of the other guys and girls on my initial employment training course, they never got the opportunity to go to Bougainville. So I was lucky enough to experience both Bougainville and East Timor as a deployment as a young soldier. So a lot happened for me very young when I joined the trade. So that I felt that was a good thing. I joined the right job at the right time, I felt.
I see. Okay. Travis, did you have anything to ask? Did we lose you? Okay. No problem. I guess we lost. Very well. So when I know now what you do, and you're a stevedore, and actually it's funny. I went through stevedore training in the U.S. at a U.S. Army base in Virginia, so it was kind of straight. Yeah, the Army actually teaches the Navy how to operate cranes and things for loading ships. I think that's okay. That's bizarre, but that's the way it works. Anyway, what was your specific job at that time? Was it similar, or were you a different occupational specialty?
No, pretty much the same the whole way through my career. So when we deployed back then, it was basically just all the cargo that was coming over by air. At that time it was by sea or even by air. I controlled all the cargo distribution through the AO, the area of operation. So we just go through, check it all off of a checklist, make sure it needs to go where it needs to go. So basically, so we, so it was mainly forklifts over there in East Timor and Bougainville. There's not much crane work that could have been done, but just basically controlling of cargo to and from where it needed to go in that area.
I see. And did you also deploy on ships going back and forth? How did that work?
So for Bougainville, it was basically a C-17 straight there. There was a landing craft going to and from the location. For East Timor, we had HMAS Jarvis Bay, which is like a large fast cat that we actually bought. I think we actually bought it from the United States. Actually, I think. Don't quote me to that. I think we bought that because it was very fast. It used to leave from Darwin to East Timor. It only took less than 24 hours to travel to East Timor. We did have aircraft going to and from, but that was the travel to and from East Timor. I went over both times via HMAS Jarvis Bay, but flew back by a 7C-17, which is actually South African, if I remember correctly.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, I don't know. So the Jarvis Bay, was that a tri-hull ship, or is that like a regular freighter? I'm not sure what to ask, but sorry, go ahead.
It was almost like a very big fast cat, so to speak. It was just like a big. Think of like a big. When
you say cat, you mean catamaran?
Yeah.
So 3 hulls, and this thing skimmed along the water very quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. That is funny. So here's a funny thing, Nathan. So my first deployment after 9/11, we were in Suda Bay, Crete, and there was this vessel. It was a high-speed vehicle 1, HSV-1, and that's exactly what it was, and it was brand new. Oh. This was 2002. Okay. And it was run by the Army. It was right, and it pulled up into the Navy, and we got to see this thing go on these trials. So that's funny. I know they built quite a few of them, but I thought it was Australian made. I remember them telling us it was Australian. So
okay, yeah, I'm not sure. I was on the opinion that we purchased it for that deployment for that operation for a couple of years, and then I think we sold it off after that. So I'm not actually sure where. I think I saw it once after that, but I'm not sure. They might have built a couple of them that looked the same. I wasn't quite sure, but yeah. So that was my earlier. Time in my trade. That's where I was up to at that stage.
Oh, okay. Very good. So, when you finished off in Timor, when those missions was completed, well, let's back up a little bit. So you go through training. You were in Bougainville. How long were you there for exactly?
I was in Bougainville for 4 months, and
4
then
months.
I came back, and then I did East Timor twice, but they were only 3 months at a time. So it was only really short, but long enough for me, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, it all depends on the workload and the stress, right?
Yeah, exactly. And as I talk about later, obviously the deployments and the other postings I had actually were a lot more extended. So this is the start to a long career so far.
Okay. So you come home and what's next for you? Additional training, additional schooling, what?
So some more training.
Mm-hmm.
Got different more qualifications with some more forklift operations. So every time we get a new forklift into trade, we have to learn up on that and just move on. I actually got a posting. This is where my trade's a little bit different in the Army. We actually post to naval vessels here. So I posted to HMAS Tobruk. And I did two stints on that on HMAS Tobruk. I absolutely loved my time there immensely as a private soldier. Second time round, I got promoted to Lance Corporal, but my first time there, I spent probably about 3 years both times on HMAS Tobruk, and I loved every minute of it. Very busy, as you can attest to, being a lot of time away from family and the like, but definitely love my job. Different experience because with my role on the ship, we controlled all the loading and unloading of the ship itself. Like, Tobruk was very different. We had a valley crane at the front, which could lift 60 ton. We had two Favgo cranes at the front, which could lift about 10 ton, maybe a little bit less than that. And we had a stern door at the back, which lowered down.
Mm-hmm.
Very different to the ships that we see today. You can actually sink down for the landing craft to come in through the back end. This one was a little bit different with the stern door at the back goes down and the two, I don't know, I can see this, but they can see that the landing craft and the stern door, they just merge together and just sit like that. And with the vehicles, that they just come across like that. And Tobruk was very unique. It actually had the ability to beach. So that the bow door actually opened up and actually a ramp would come down and the ship could actually beach. So it's just basically a big landing craft, but it could actually beach along the beach. That was only worst case scenarios if something did happen.
Sure.
So when it was first built in 1981, it beached a lot in its early career, but the more time you do it, the more maintenance that is required on the ship, as you can probably attest to.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can imagine it's quite a bit. So that's fascinating duty. I was curious though, where are you home ported out during these times? So where's the naval base located? Yep.
So the naval base that I was mainly located in my career was in Sydney.
Okay.
At Garden Island there, HMAS Cuttable. So yeah, that was predominantly. So with my trade and my job, I'm either in Townsville or I'm in Sydney. But I'll talk to you a little bit later why I'm in Brisbane now. But yeah, that's predominantly where I was. Naval base was Sydney. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I visited that base once when I was in Sydney, so it's kind of neat.
Okay.
Nice facility. There's worse places to be stationed, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So because of your trade and what you do, have you been stationed in other places more inland, or have you always been on the coast?
Pretty much on the coast my whole career. Townsville's pretty much a coastal city. And Sydney, as you know, and where I am now, Brisbane, pretty much on the coast. Yeah, I've pretty much lived on the coast. I've never, I've been deployed inland, but yeah, never actually lived on inland, mainly on the coast. Yep.
Okay. So what was the next cycle within your career? So at this point, you said you were a Lance Corporal, and you served on these two vessels, or I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yep. So once I finished my second posting to HMAS Tobruk, I then posted back to Townsville as a corporal. Did some more promotion courses whilst I was up there. In between that time, I deployed to Iraq for 6 months in 2006. Basically, my role there, very similar to what I did in East Timor, except for this was more, had a bit more to do on my own as such, which I really liked. I really liked that responsibility. So I handled all the cargo coming in, but we use what's called cargo visibility systems. So think of it as like a barcode that you just come in, scan it, and then, just same scenario, all the different units that are deployed overseas, you put it in the